Red Bull Racing is a well-known name in Formula 1, and it has accomplished a lot in a short period of time, and team principal Christian Horner was instrumental in establishing the team. Red Bull was only a sponsor before becoming a full-fledged team in 2005. David Coulthard and Christian Klein were the drivers for Horner's creation. Now Red Bull wants a new super team with Max Verstappen, but who is good enough next to him? Adrian Newey's arrival at Red Bull Racing to work on the RB3 powered by Renault engines marked the beginning of Red Bull Racing's rise. Sebastian Vettel, then a young driver, joined Red Bull in 2009 and finished second that season. He then went on to win 4 consecutive World Drivers' Championships and Constructors' Championships in a dominating fashion never seen before. The 1.6-litre turbocharged engines debuted in 2014, ushering in the Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton era. This was the case until 2021, when an epic battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton resulted in the Dutchman's victory, effectively ending Hamilton's dominance. Nicholas Latifi's crash in the race's closing stages resulted in a yellow flag, allowing Verstappen to take the lead dramatically on comparatively newer tyres. Red Bull unveiled its new livery for the 2023 season on February 3rd, 2023, and it is a minor departure from their previous liveries. It has the same colour scheme as the previous one, and Oracle is still the star of the show. On the other hand, Ford is returning to Formula 1 after a 2-decade absence. It will form a partnership with Red Bull to develop hybrid engines beginning in 2026. It will supply powertrains to both Red Bull teams, AlphaTauri and Oracle Red Bull Racing. Beginning in 2023, Ford and Red Bull powertrains will collaborate to develop the power unit required by the new technical regulations, which will include a 350 kilowatt electric motor and a new combustion engine capable of accepting fully sustainable fuels in time for the 2026 season. Christian Horner's team won the 2022 season with a resounding victory. The Bulls dominated the championship on both the driver and the constructor levels, thanks to Verstappen, Perez and the near-perfect RB18. Following that, their dominance had grown to the point where Ferrari's Charles Leclerc was competing with Sergio Perez with a more than 100-point lead over Max Verstappen. The only threat to Red Bull's RB18 was Ferrari's F175, but the Italian team conceded by struggling to get race strategy right on multiple occasions. Despite reliability issues with the RB18 in the first few races, Red Bull accelerated to first place in the WDC and Constructors standings. Max is a technically gifted individual. He did a lot of work as a kid, Team Chief Engineer Paul Monaghan said. Horner revealed some of his plans for the 2023 season at Red Bull's RB19 launch in New York on February 3rd. He stated that this season has the potential to be incredible and that their opponents will be competitive. He also stated that now was the time to focus on improving until the Bahrain Grand Prix. Furthermore, he expressed optimism about the upcoming 23 race season. Fans will be interested to see how the reigning champions defend their title against a supposedly more competitive top table. Red Bull claims that their new Formula 1 power unit facility will be able to supply engines to up to 4 different teams in the future. Last year, the team began work on the new Red Bull powertrains division. It has already tested its first V6 engine prototype for F1's new formula, which will be introduced in 2026. Christian Horner, team principal, believes that the huge cost to Red Bull of developing their own engine will be increasingly offset by the savings that can be made in their F1 team following the implementation of the budget cap last year. Obviously, we have the burden of costs from existing power units plus development at the moment, he admitted. However, by 2026, the budget cap will have fully kicked in and the costs will be far more manageable than they were 2 or 3 years ago. So, once again, the cost cap was critical to becoming a new entrant. Red Bull's initial plan is to supply engines to both its own team and the junior squad AlphaTauri. However, Horner believes there will be room for expansion. The way we're structured, we have the capability within the facility of producing engines for up to 4 teams, he explained. However, that will not be the initial goal. Obviously, the initial plan is to supply the 2 Red Bull-owned teams. Mercedes currently supplies engines to 4 teams, the factory Mercedes team plus 3 customers, but stated earlier this year that they intend to reduce their supply. This will force McLaren, Williams and Aston Martin to seek a new supplier. Ferrari already supplies engines to its own team and Alfa Romeo and Haas, while Alpine is the sole user of Renault engines. Red Bull currently uses Honda power units, which officially withdraw at the end of last season, but still provide support through Honda Racing Corporation until the end of 2025. While Red Bull's talks with Porsche about a potential partnership fell through, rumors now suggest that Honda is considering a quick return to F1. Although Horner stated that Red Bull's plans are set in stone regardless of what others do, he is open to a possible reunion with Honda. "Our train has left the station for 26, he announced. "We have a working engine and prototype. We've commissioned all of the dynos and are ready to go. Honda is a fantastic company. They announced their withdrawal from F1 in order to concentrate their efforts on electrifying their products and moving away from the combustion engine. If they were to consider returning to F1, that would have to be considered. So, whether or not there was some interest, potentially on the battery side and any potential synergies, an interesting discussion could ensue. But on the combustion and mechanical side of the engine, we're on a path that we're very happy with until 2026. Horner acknowledged that designing their own engine is an ambitious move for Red Bull. However, he believes it will position them to compete with Ferrari as the only constructor that builds an entire F1 car on the same site. Mercedes' operation is split between its Brackley chassis plant and its Brixworth engine facility. "As soon as we made the decision, there was full commitment," he explained. "It's no small task. Some people think we're insane to take on the likes of Ferrari, Mercedes, Renault, and possibly even Honda from the ground up, but that is precisely the Red Bull way of accomplishing the impossible." That was said in reference to designing and building a chassis. "With the quality of people that we've been able to recruit in the UK, there hasn't been an investment in an engine facility like this in the UK in probably the last 40 years. As a result, we've been able to attract some incredible talent, and we're still actively recruiting and will be announcing some new team members in the near future. But it's fascinating. Everyone in the company is excited about the opportunity to provide jobs in the UK at a time when budget constraints on the chassis side are contracting teams. Having everything under one roof creates synergies that gives us a distinct advantage over Ferrari." According to Horner, Red Bull may also develop its own engine for the recently announced RB17 hypercar. "It allows us to look at other projects, such as the RB17, and see if we can produce our own power unit for that," he explained. So, after Honda's announcement to withdraw, it is a strategic investment to take our future into our own hands rather than being reliant on being a customer. A document published by Morocco's Conseil de la Concurrence revealed Porsche's intention to acquire a 50% stake in Red Bull's Formula 1 operation ahead of its planned entry in 2026. The proposed agreement applies to Red Bull technology, officially the chassis constructor for Red Bull Racing, but covers most of the F1 team's activities. Things are looking bright for Red Bull. Let's see what happens in the coming years, as fans are excited to witness greatness. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.